This is problem 2912 from chapter 29, and we're given the price and wage structure from a monopsony in a table here, and we're asked what is the amount of monopsonistic exploitation that takes place when the firm maximizes profits. Now, the first thing we need to do is talk about what monopsonistic exploitation means. So, remember, a monopsony in the labor market is similar to a monopoly in a product market. Okay, so a monopoly, remember, they're the only firm in the market. They can set their prices wherever they want in order to maximize their own profit. Similarly, with a monopsony in the labor market, the monopsony is the only person hiring a particular type of laborer, a particular type of employee, and so they can set their wage rate wherever they want in order to maximize their profit. And so they won't necessarily always set their wage rate to equal the marginal revenue product of the worker. So the worker, that means the worker will be bringing in more money to the company than the company is paying the worker. And that is called monopsonistic exploitation. So that the amount of exploitation is that difference. The difference between the marginal revenue product of the worker, so how much money the worker brings in, and the hourly wage of the worker, or how much money the company's paying the worker. So that's the monopsonistic exploitation. So now let's talk about how a monopsony chooses how many laborers they're going to hire, and also what wage rate they're going to provide. So remember, just like in a monopoly, in order to maximize profit, the monopolist will choose to produce at a point where marginal revenue equals marginal cost, right? But then they'll choose their price. So that's how they choose their quantity, is where marginal revenue equals marginal cost. Then they choose their price based on the demand curve and how much people are willing to pay for that many of the product. So similarly, in the labor market, the monopsonist will choose how many workers to hire at a point where marginal revenue equals marginal cost. In the labor market, we call that marginal factor cost equaling marginal revenue product. So they'll choose their number of laborers based on where marginal revenue product equals marginal factor cost. But then they'll choose their hourly wage rate based on the labor supply curve and how much people are willing to work for. So if the company says, all right, we're going to hire 11 workers, for example, then they can look at the labor supply curve and see, okay, if I want 11 workers, this is how much 11 people are willing to work for, and that's how they'll set their hourly wage rate. So the question is, what is the amount of monopsonistic exploitation that takes place when this firm maximizes profits? So let's find on the table, where is this firm maximizing profit? Remember, they'll maximize profit wherever marginal revenue product equals marginal factor cost. Marginal revenue equals marginal cost. That's pretty much always our profit maximizing rule, right? So in this case, we're given in the table our marginal factor cost as well as our marginal revenue product. So we're just going to look for where they're equal, and they happen to be equal here on the first row or the second row of the table at a labor quantity of 11. Here's where we have marginal factor cost of 27 and marginal revenue product of 27. So they'll hire 11 workers. The question is not how many workers they'll hire, though. The question is, what is the amount of monopsonistic exploitation that takes place? So remember, from the beginning, we talked about that monopsonistic exploitation is when the wage rate is lower than the marginal revenue product. And the amount of that exploitation is just the difference between the marginal revenue product and the wage rate. So when they hire 11 workers, that 11th worker brings into the company an extra $27, an additional $27. But they're only paying that 11th worker $7. So the monopsonistic exploitation that happens here is the difference between that $27 the worker gives the company and the $7 the company gives back to the worker. Okay, so it's a $20 difference. So the exploitation is in an amount of $20. And that's it. If you have any more questions about this or about monopsonies, how to calculate these different things, feel free to shoot me an email or stop by my office hours.